So, you want to know the best and most consistent Vanessa build in Season 3? Well, you've come to the right place. I'm currently Kevin, and today I will be giving you all the information you need to get those 10 wins with Vanessa. The meta has certainly been shaken up this season with all the changes and new expansions. The early game is a lot harder, since Mac and Dooley can get their builds online very early. On top of that, the previous most consistent Vanessa build has been nerfed into the ground. So, what do you do now? Well, you take advantage of the large variety of slow and haste items that Vanessa has at her disposal, and the large amount of directions you can take this build, so you can always find something you can use. Let me explain how this build works. You will use slow and or haste to activate your payoff items. Items like mantis shrimp, dark water anglerfish, yitte, and even proboscis for slows. Catfish, pufferfish, shark ray, arbalest for haste, Mr. Richardson and old saltclaw for both. As you can see, there is a ton of benefit for going slow, haste, or both. However, most of the time you don't want to use more than one or two of these, since you need a lot of supporting items to do your slowing and your hasting. Let's narrow this list down to the ideal candidates, and just know you can use any of these options as fallbacks or as secondary damage. Now, the star of this build is definitely the mantis shrimp, getting a large amount of damage and burn whenever you slow. This is the most powerful but also easiest item to get on this list, so you'll be running with him most of the time. Mr. Richardson is also a staple of any of these builds, since it's a shield item that helps you stay alive so you can slow and haste more often. Now, try and find Cold on day 1 for an almost guaranteed shrimp, since Cold only has 9 items he can sell at bronze. After that, Ayla with 23, Nautica with 25, Ande with 32, and Midsworth with 35 items. At day 2, they can start selling silvers, but most of the items will still be bronze, so the same still applies. Once the shops start offering only silvers, it equals out to about 50 for most merchants, but you can get some great specialized shops like Burn or Slow, and Cold also keeps being a great option you can go for very high chances of upgrades. For supporting items, there are even more than payoff items, so I'll give you the 3 main directions you will be going. First is the Sea Dog Saloon route. Sea Dog Saloon both hastes and slows, so it can work with anything on this list, and it's the route you want to take most often. You want as many friends as you can fit, with a special focus on Illusoray for slows or Jellyfish and Zorasid for haste, and Mr. Richardson for survivability. Fill the rest up with friends and whatever payoff item you have, and there you go. If I get this, I know I'm coasting to at least 7 wins, and I have plenty of time to transition if necessary. But we'll talk about transitions a little bit later. Next up is Pure Slow. Since Mantis Shrimp is the most common payoff item, and it doesn't need haste, you can go Pure Slow. Illusoray, Clamora, and Bolus can be picked up from day 1, Shock Glasses and Dock Lines from day 2. This gives you a very reliable pool of items to choose from, even from day 1. In the mid to late game, you want to try and pick up a Tripwire for often an incredible amount of slow, and it has some great enchantment options as well. Last is the pure haste version, mostly used by Arbalest, Shark Ray, and Pufferfish. They can have incredible mid-game power, but since the other heroes can get some incredibly fast and powerful builds early, I do feel like slowing down the enemy builds has become a lot more important. Still, you don't want to ignore these, as you need to build these at some point, since you won't always get Shrimp or Sea Dog Saloon. Now, Shock Glasses makes another appearance for obvious reasons. And then you have Dive Weights, Jellyfish, and Piano for your preferred items. Especially Dive Weights next to either of those. Beyond that, there are so many haste items that you are sure to find something you can work with. Now we know how to put this build together, let's talk about some of the mid-game and late-game transitions. A lot of the time you can get 7+ wins with the slow and haste build alone, but if you lost a couple of the early days, it's gonna get a lot more difficult to get those coveted 10 wins. So, if you feel like you need to change up your build, you can transition into Tortuga because you have a lot of friends, Depth Charge because you have a lot of aquatic items, and even Powder Keg because you have a good amount of burn and you don't need to invest too much in your slow haste build once you set it up. Now, Tortuga is probably the easiest transition, but also my least favorite. You are very reliant on getting upgrades for the Tortuga for damage, and you need a good enchantment if you want to compete in the late game. Still, it's a pretty good transition since you can transition very early and build up from there. Now, Depth Charge is more powerful than Tortuga, and it's almost as easy to transition into, but you do want a Yeti Crab, which is not going to be a part of your haste slow build most of the time. However, since you do only need Depth Charge and Yeti to really pop off, it's still a very comfortable transition. You pick this if you need a couple more wins at day 10+. Depth Charge, Yeti, and Iceberg are the core items here. The rest you can just kind of piece together. Try to get a poison enchantment on the Iceberg for a lot more power and freedom, since if you get the poison on the Iceberg, you don't really even need the Depth Charge anymore, and you are no longer bound by the aquatic items, which can lead to some really wacky builds, as you can see here. Lastly is the powder keg build, which is the transition I go for most often. I kinda stopped using it for a while after the XP nerfs since it's a lot harder to get to diamond, but since you already have a powerful early mid-game build with the haste and slow build, you don't really need the powder keg to do 100% of the damage right away. You can use your payoff items like shrimp or even a tortuga in your build to get that last little bit of damage. You also have a lot of time to get the powder keg online, because even a mediocre slow haste build will be able to get you to day 8 or 9 most of the time. The reason it's my go-to is because your opponents have very little time to do anything. Powder keg one-shots in under 4 seconds once built, so no matter what the opponent is running, they better do it in less time than a couple seconds or it won't really matter. Now gold can be a bit of a problem if you're running a generic aquatic build, but it's a less of a problem if you just focus your upgrades on your payoff items and Sea Dog Saloon, and you can also use the new expedition tickets as well, either to use or to sell. Now a quick overview of what we're looking for with keg. Buying any of these crit items along the way and grabbing any skills that give your powder keg crit is key. Often I have my stash completely full of items for keg. Then you want fast burn items, incendiary rounds and heated shells, together with any fast ammo items like nesting doll, throwing knives, pop snappers or whatever you can find. Pair them with holsters to speed things up even more, and there you go. You do want to get a damage enchantment on your keg. Obsidian is best, but even burn or poison can be enough to finish people off. Crit is also good if you don't have 100% crit yet. Lord of the Waste also has a new skill which makes your crits do double damage, meaning instead of 100% of the health, you now do 150%, which is great for dealing with those pesky shields. Now I want to show you how a typical game goes. I try to condense a whole game in 5 minutes, so it does go very fast, but it hits all the major points I just talked about in this video. Now enchanted item is my go-to. Obsidian Pearl is definitely something we can work with. Kyphedron is great, only Stinger is a bad get, the rest is fantastic. Midsworth gives us a good chance for Mantis Shrimp, and we get it. And we also get a Catfish and an Illusoray on the reroll, which makes a very strong day 1 board. At this point we have definitely decided to go Mantis Shrimp slow, so we're just looking for the support items, most of which are non-weapons. And they also gives us a lot of support items and has a great chance for a Mantis Shrimp upgrade. Now Mosquito gives us slow synergy and Proboscis is great if you can give it damage, so we pick that. We get some crit, which is not useful right now, but will be later. Since we have friends, Tiny Furry Friend can give us a bronze skill. We're looking for shield or crit at this point. We lose our second fight to an Obsidian Catfish, which is totally fine. We get Nautica right after, who can give us amazing upgrades. We pick up a Sea Dog Saloon very early, which basically guarantees us winning the early and mid game. We would have loved to pick up a Sextant here, but we don't really have the gold. Aetheryte is really easy if you do any damage, and you can get rigged or a ticket, which we get. Since we don't have gold, we just pick up random items and we get a powder keg. It's pretty lucky, but there would have been plenty of opportunity to pick one up later. We get level 4, so we can upgrade the Mantis Shrimp from bronze to silver. Now we don't have bronze items to sell, so we go Aerodrome. We go large items looking for Crow's Nest for crit, or Sea Dog Saloon for our current build. Now Crow's Nest is only bronze and it's not immediately useful, so we pick up Sea Dog Saloon. Now we need gold again, so we go a Hexa for crypto. Blood Reef Raider for the Crow's Nest would have also been totally fine. The level up gives us heated shells. Non-weapon vendor gives us shot glasses, but we're also really looking for any sort of crit. Here we're digging for gold, but we do find an incendiary rounds, which is fantastic. Now Sabertooth skill can be great for shrimp and powder keg builds for the reduced cooldown, but we get the Fang, which is still a lot of gold. Weapon vendor is very useful here to upgrade keg or mantis shrimp. Here we just keep winning because we are very strong right now. Next we're fighting Trash Golem, which can normally give you a gold powder keg, but we have a silver one so we can't get it. We are about to level up and get a guaranteed silver upgrade though, which we use to get keg to gold ourselves. As you can see, we keep looking at weapon vendors, trying to get the keg and the mantis shrimp to upgrade them. We are trying to get to a point where we can transition into powder keg, but our current build is still doing amazing, so we have some time. Now we need more crit. Unfortunately, we only get 5% and we don't really have any gold to reroll. The only real things we are looking for right now are upgrades to shrimp, sea dogs or keg, and the last little bit of crit. So medium and large items are fantastic for us. Now here I make a mistake. I tried to transition without having a diamond powder keg or enough crit, thinking my mantis shrimp will carry me through. I should have stayed with the old build since it was doing fine. As you can see, we lose the next fight right away. Now we also lose the expedition because I'm just too weak with this board, which is unfortunate. However, we will get to level 10 the next day, so that's what I'm banking on to get our enchantment. Now we get our level 10 and we get obsidian, which is definitely the best, but crit, burn and poison would have definitely saved our board as well. After that we get trade health for power as well, which can enchant an item with crit, which would have been another way to save our keg. Almost all crit is non-weapon, and we get crest, which leaves us with 99% crit, which is plenty. Now we can one-shot anyone, but we still want more crit to make space, and we want to upgrade our keg, which we end up doing. We're in an amazing position now, but we can still be faster, so we're looking for anything that upgrades us. Here we get a cooldown reduction from Lord of the Wastes. We're just flying through the days now, and the people we're up against don't really stand a chance. Form is also amazing for keg since you can get crit, you can upgrade, or you can enchant. Everything keg needs. At level 13 we get our first guaranteed upgrade to diamond. Normally this would be used on keg, but since we already have it, holster is a fantastic upgrade for more speed. Now for our final fight, we one-shot in 5 seconds, which is a little slow because our board is not completely full, but it's enough. Now, if you like this video, please like and subscribe. If you have any questions or feedback, I would love to hear from you and I will answer every comment. I tried to go a little bit faster this video, so it wouldn't be so long, but if it was too fast, please let me know. Next video will be a full game commentated live, so get ready for that, and I hope to see you there.